We're back here in Cleveland at the Republican National Convention, and I am here with, honestly, an American original. When they say only in America, made in America, this is the guy I think of, Don King, the famous boxing promoter who is also very savvy when it comes to politics. He's been very outspoken for a number of years, and it's been really fascinating to see you walk around really holding court the last couple of days here in Cleveland. Give us your thoughts on this year's Republican National Convention and the head of the party now, Donald Trump.
Yes, and that's what I'm so very proud of about the American people. This is the will of the people, and the will of the people is they chose Donald Trump as a representative of the rejection of the system, not as they got their adherent of the system, the rejection of the system, because they are disgusted, they are disparaged, they feel betrayed, they feel that the system is corrupt, it is bigoted, it is rigged, and they say that they will not continue to live in this form of government. And so Donald Trump stepped up to the plate, and they chose him because he's a counterpuncher. He fights for what is right, not for what is the way, oh, this is the custom and tradition, this is how we always did it. He don't go with that. And the first words out of his mouth was, we will create a whole new system. We will tear this system apart. America first. I want to make America great again. That's what we need, because you cannot deal with a corrupt system and think you can make a change in the corrupt system, and that is mere folly. Because the system is corrupt, nobody denies that, no dissenters, no naysayers, no one that says it isn't. Then what are you going to do with it? You got a cancer, the cancer is colorblind. It kills all colors. It don't matter who you are, what you are, and where you come from. All right, so in order to cure disease, you got to ferret out its cause. We treat the effects of the disease, but we don't treat the cause of the disease. If we get the cause of the disease, then you can have preventive measures. You can put it, we can arrest it until we can find a cure. But the way we living, we are more widely divided than ever. Everybody is of the opinion that the system is corrupt and is debilitating the upward mobility and the elevation of the people. So therefore, everybody is hating everybody. Everybody's doing it. They say Donald Trump is a polarizer. He is a race divider. Absolutely poppycock. Donald Trump is an exposer. We're already hating each other. We're already divided. We're already polarized. And what he's doing is calling out every tenet of racism from anywhere and everywhere, and finding out that people that get their point of view that you would have never thought that they think the way they think, because you look upon them as pious, benign, and holier than thou, but those are the ones you have to really bear witness to. You know what I mean? I could deal with the Klansman because I know how he feel. I know how I feel. I got to be able to try to persuade and try to change him. But those quasi-bourgeois liberals smile in your face and all the time they want to take your place, the backstabber, that is the detrimental part. You know, when you know what it is that you got to go against, you can deal with it and make a defense and be able to make an attack, or to try to dissuade and persuade. But you know, when you got the guy that's saying, how you doing, man? Oh man, this is horrible the way they treating you. We just want to be with you, man. Man, just keep on fighting. And at the same time, how you feeling? You all right? And you give him your story, and then you go out and plotting around and knock you out the box, doing whatever you got to do, and say, oh, I can't believe how they doing you. And he's the part and parcel of it. You got to understand, we got to bring those type of things to grips where wisdom, understanding, and togetherness come into play, and then we can develop one land, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It seems, in your words, the Democrats and the Republicans have failed all Americans. So why is Donald Trump, who has been anointed the head of the Republican Party now, why is he the savior?
You know, he's the savior because the people chose him. He wasn't chosen by the party. Even the party, when you see him getting the nomination and all these grandiose speeches, I have to applaud Ted Cruz because he's the only honest one that come up there and be telling what it is. The rest of them, man, they're making him applaud. The people demanded him, you know what I mean, to be the choice for them. And so that's a big difference, you know what I mean? So he's non-politician. He's not a politician. He's a great businessman. All right, so now they want somebody that couldn't be coerced, intimidated, and bribed, you know what I mean, and he can't be bought, so they chose him. We don't know how he can do and what he can do, but we do know this. He's a fighter. He's going to be a fighter for the people. He represents their rejection to the corrupt system that we're living under right now. And he's willing to go out and put himself in harm's way and put his family in harm's way to be able to justify the people's will, And that's what's so vitally important, for, especially for white women who's been discriminated against and people of color who's being discriminated against. That's what we call concentric slavery. They have two things, one basic thing in common. Both are considered inferior and own property. You know what I mean? Yeah, and so we got that. So they treated one way with the whip, the lash, and the feathers and the chains. And they treated the other one by brainwashing and promising and giving false pretenses of romance and love and all of that to make them emulate themselves, be self-destructive, be an aider and a better. Keep in mind, my dear fellow Americans, hatred is not inherited. It is taught. You know, whatever you do, you must understand that racism is not inherited. It is taught. So you got to be able to deal with that. And so you become a complicitor of teaching. Because the first laws of love, understanding, and anything is with the mother in the home. And this is the only thing you're aiding and abetting your own self-emulation. So we got to be able to deal with what is real to understand how we can change this country to edify what it was conceived to be. Liberty, freedom, justice, and equality. And so we got to be able to fight together to right the wrong. And what the women told me, and Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony, they said it is a difference. It's got to be a squared. How can you have freedom in the right hand and deny it to the left hand? You know what I mean? So this is what we got to be able to do. We can't have freedom in the right hand, deny it to the left hand. So we got to be able to deal with what is real. It's got to square itself. And we've come now where we have a consensus of opinion. The consensus of opinion is that the system is corrupt and that it is a tradition and custom, you know, at an institutional level, as a group level, as an individual level, by custom and tradition, by law and the upholdment of the unjust laws by the courts. And so therefore, you have little or no chance. You got to be able to create a whole new system with the appeal of Americanism, working for the benefit of mankind and humanity to deal with what is real, to change the system by replacing it with a new system. We will create a whole new system. We would tear this system apart and we will make America first, and I want to make America great again. You cannot repudiate that, no stretch of the imagination. And when you talk about the different politicians, he's a non-politician, he's an outsider, and that's why he is believable if he uses business acumen under the auspice of the Constitution of the United States, we the people, you know what I mean, in order to form a more perfect union. You know, establish justice, do ordain and establish this Constitution as what we are and what we will be. And so that is why I support Donald Trump, because I'm not supporting Donald Trump by per se. I'm supporting the United States people and the will of the people, that Donald Trump is the nominee against all odds. Ain't no Republican Party supported Donald Trump to become the nominee. He was out there and the people voted. 14 million people came to pass to be able to vote and to demonstrate that they wanted Donald Trump. All right, so they used every scheme, every mechanism was going to use the diabolical scheme of the electors. The electors who really truly elect the president, and the people don't even know that Donald Trump bought all that out. He understands, he gave them political science 101 and 102, you know what I mean? Because he called out every facet of it and he said it's a rigged system. All right? So now dealing with the rigged system that considers the white woman property, considers her inferior, dealing with the rigged system that considers the black people property and they being owned property and inferior, he has now accepted the mantle of the people that are rejecting this evil, misguided way of life system to lead the bandwagon and to go out there to get where we will get those glorious, majestic words, one land, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That is what we got to fight for, because you heard Abraham Lincoln in his Gettysburg Address. He said, those who have fallen, we cannot forget. They must not die in vain. It leaves us the work that we must do. We have a lot of work to do. All right? So we can't get it done dealing with the same corrupt methods that we've done customarily from custom and tradition. We're only rewinding the sex. We're changing it from here to there. But the same is there. You know, the pain is there. The anger is there. The poor whites are starving to death, but they could die better than the Negro. The Negroes starving to death, they both are dead. You can't even put their bones in the same graveyard because the black bones can't be conjectured with the white bones. All of these things here, man, you think they were playing a game or thinking, you're having tomfoolery. This is reality. This is reality. You're going to understand that divisiveness we can't have. So I want to be with the American people, and the American people have chosen Donald Trump. I'm going to be with the unity of the people's will, and I will fight for freedom, justice, and equality for white and black alike, you know what I mean? Because we are Americans, and no one can be prouder. And if you cannot hear us, we'll say it a little louder.
Don, that being said, Donald Trump, if he gets elected, he is just one man having to deal with Congress, having to deal with state houses, having to deal with local governments, all of whom have traditional Democrats or Republicans that are elected. How does one man, Donald Trump, change a system that is built up over hundreds of years with a lot of indoctrinated rules and regulations that have already been adopted?
That is the major question of the day. That's a good question, and here's how he can do it where no one else could have done it. He has the ability, are we still on? He has the ability to tell on them. You ain't had nobody with the guts that Donald Trump has. He's a counterpuncher. So what do I mean by that? You're going to fight an institution of 200 or 300 years of misguided emotionalism and misguided rights. All right, so what Donald Trump will do, just as he did with Senator Lindsey Graham, he will call him out. He would tell the American people who he is, where he lives, what his telephone number is. And he's the one that's blocking the vote for A, B, C, D for the betterment of America. And then he can resort back and get to George Washington. George Washington said, the power lies in the people. And Donald Trump is an example of that. The power lies in the people. We appoint representatives to go to Congress for a certain limited time, to exercise our wishes for a certain limit of time. And when these representatives, these servants, he said, when these servants do not represent the wishes of the people, do not go and work contrary to what the people want, then he said, undoubtedly, they will be recalled. All right, so now, how do you recall these guys? Because even in recalling, you can't recall a congressman. They got to do it within the Congress. But you don't have to vote for them. And when you put them out there on that notice thing, you got them in a notice, now you can call. When they find out that they ain't going to be there because the people that we send to the Congress to work on the grievances that we have, to be able to right the wrongs that we are suffering, when they get to Washington, they become a part of the grievances and the rights that's wronging us. Rather than fighting to eradicate them, they join in with the strength of custom and tradition that you just so eloquently stated, and become a part of the problem they went there to solve. So, Donald Trump, only instrument will be the voice of the people. And if he can put the voice of the people and he can relate and identify to who is the impediment and who is blocking, the will of the people will be able to change that. If the people can unite and throw off the British Empire with 13 colonies with a unity of solidarity in the spirit, they can knock out any congressman, senator that's there that's voting contrary to their wishes, with a leader that won't retreat and that can't be beat. Now, the risk of that, and that's why I love Donald Trump, is that he's putting himself in harm's way. For all those who try to eliminate the system eliminates them. John F. Kennedy in a limousine. R.F. Kennedy on the kitchen floor in the hotel. Martin Luther King on a balcony in Memphis. Malcolm X on a ball in Harlem. The maker who made indentured servitude and the changing of life are no way to be able to give the slavery emancipation. The emancipator, Abraham Lincoln, killed in the theater. So you got to understand that the risk is there. Everybody that's out there that's fighting for freedom is going to stand in the light of being a risk. All right, so now, but the difference, I say, if Donald Trump lives and nothing happened to him, God forbid, He will call out every senator, everyone, and when the people see that it's anti-American, never underestimate the will of the American people. And that's what so many people have made that mistake. And Donald Trump is the nominee today because of the will of the American people, not because the party supported him, because they're still fighting. You heard tonight, Ted Cruz still wouldn't endorse it. You heard my governor, whom I love, Bill Kasich, not endorse it. You know what I mean? So you understand that the controversy there, and that is why the guy, Rip Van Winkle, didn't want me to speak because he thought if he could insult me, he wouldn't put that dynamic duo together with Donald and Donald. You know, because I'm going to be able to promote, I'm a promoter of the people, by the people, and for the people, and my magic lies in my people ties. And Donald is an extraordinary fighter for the will of the people. He wants to create a whole new system. He's the only one who has the guts to say that, and now he has the will of the people to implement that. So I want to see a new nation conceived in liberty, dedicated to the proposition that all men and women are created equal. And that's what we're on our way to do if you will help us, and we all can work together, black and white alike, work for the benefit of this great nation, the greatest nation in the world, America. And all Americans, the ones that, as John F. Kennedy would say, the ones that are silent, they bring about shame, you know, and violence. The ones who act boldly, they will deal with what is practical and reality. And so Donald Trump is bold, brave, and courageous. And I join him in this magnanimous effort to make this country what it can be, the greatest nation in the world, with those cosmic, majestic words that freedom, you know what I mean? And Abraham Lincoln put it in that Gettysburg Address. It was something that is be relying and going. So what we got to do is to finish that unfinished business of those who have fallen and that they have not died in vain. So I'm here to tell you that Trump is the man with the plan, with the support of the people, to bring about the much needed change that will give people of color their God-given inalienable rights, to give the white woman God-given inalienable rights, and then using those rights in the unity, solidarity, and togetherness of support for the nation, of the conceivement of a nation that has been born in liberty, justice, and equality. Let us move forward together in that type of unity, in that type of just laws, because laws that have been made that are unjust, as St. Thomas Aquinas would say, are no laws at all. So we got to know, when do you disobey a law and when do you obey a law? And so all of these different idiosyncrasies are the effects of a system that's keeping us divided, pitting one against the other, white against black, tall against small. You know what I mean? The people on the high side of the mountain one way, the people in the valley another. And this is the type of things that we can do. We only have one unchallengeable fact around the world in regards to America, that we are the biggest liars in the world. We have the unchallenged crown of hypocrisy. Starting from the Native American Indian, say you can't make no deal with the white eye because the white eye lie. The white eye lie. No treaty has never been confirmed and withheld and supported because the white eye lie. And then when I was first traveling the world, it was talking about what were they saying? Yankee imperialists. Yankee imperialists. And then I got around to the world where they don't say Yankee imperialists. They came where they would deal with what is real. And so, my fellow Americans, I ask you to join me in a magnanimous effort for this great country of America, to join the movement of the will of the people, to join Donald Trump's leadership in this great nation that of America, born and bred in the concept of freedom, justice, and equality. Let us make that boast real. And as John F. Kennedy said, now is the time. Now is the time for this nation to fulfill this promise. We're in the nuclear age, and we're in the nuclear age. We can't act as though we were doing when we were going with brickbats and pitchforks and knives. You got a threat of the devastation of the world at hand. And we must not be using that, because that exchange will kill us all. So let us roll.
Are you not concerned at all about some of the rhetoric that he's used to get to this point? Are you not concerned about potentially alienating minorities, immigrants? Other countries are concerned he does not have the gravitas to handle foreign relations. Does any of that matter to you?
No, because if they can find any way that they can say that it's better today than it was yesterday, And then what can Trump bring different? He's got to bring something different. It's got to be better. It can't be no worse. He still got checks and balances, but at least he's undertaking the task of challenging the corrupt system. We at an all-time low, could never be more widely divided than we are today. You know what I mean? So it's a thing here where you got to understand, if you could tell me that anybody was giving us a system that's better than it was yesterday, today, then we wouldn't have this consensus of opinion of rejection. You know what I mean? So let's try something new. And in 4 years, what's the difference going to be? If he don't do what he say going to do, then we use the same powers of government to recall him, not vote for him, and go back to the same old misery of corrupt, misguided way of life, of white supremacy except for the white woman, and control except for the people of color, and keep that divide going bigger and bigger until we have a Holocaust with Sodom and Gomorrah or Babylon. The fall of Babylon. So you must understand how important it is. There's nothing you can say or do that could tell me any difference of what it would be. He can have an opportunity for an upside, but with this system, that is impossible to have an upside that would be credible, that would reach out and touch all the people in a manner that would be upward mobility, elevation, and to be a full first-class American citizen enjoying the securities, privileges, and the rights of an American citizen. You can't do it. If you can do that, I would join your band.
Don, next time we need to talk boxing.
Yes, we're going to talk boxing because boxing is fighting, being able to stick and move. That's what Donald can do, and he's a great counterpuncher. You know what I mean? His whole campaign is bent on the fight, winning the will of the people. And the will of the people is the most powerful thing you have in America. And if you put it in unity, solidarity, and togetherness, it is irrefutable. You can't stop it. Trump is here not because the Republican Party wanted him. Trump is here not because the Democrats, they most certainly didn't want him. So why is he here? They all thought it would be instant flake in the night. You know, if you go on a reality show, everything you do for an argument is refutable because he wouldn't be here. Even here, while they were here, the first movement here was to try to discombobulate him, understand him, but with that old electoral rig situation. Everything has been anti-Trump except the speakers and the people's voice who gave him 14 million votes. And they're looking at it under the eye of truth, and they can't repudiate it. And if they had, you would not be sitting there talking to me because you'd be in an insurrection that would be far bigger than anything else we could do. You know, we were back in another civil war. So they had to put him in there, not because they wanted him. He ain't welcome home, your prodigal son returns. No. Trump is here because the will of the people, and they stuck by him no matter what he said or did. You know, and that's what you got to understand. And some of the things he said or did may be different, but he ain't never been president. So don't forget, he's still a civilian. You know what I mean? And he's a businessman. No credentials in politics. All right? So now let's give him a chance. You know, the politicians certainly disappointed us. So let's give a guy off the street, you know, give him a chance to make us happy, not disappoint us, because all of us are suffering under the same condemnation of divisiveness, hatred, and racism. And racism ultimately is genocide. The only honest racism man was Hitler. You know what I mean? And look at the tragedy that he brought around to the world. But he ate the Jews. He hated anti-Semitism. So what did he say? He said, every evil and foul deed, a Jew has to be participant. And then he said, how long is a great people to be discriminated against? You think it's Martin Luther King. That's Adolf Hitler, talking about the Germans. You know what I mean? In the Versailles Treaty. And how the Jews had sold them out. All these things were done by propaganda. The master of propaganda was Joseph Goebbels. You know, Joseph Goebbels. Dr. Goebbels said you get 3 or 4 lies and repeat them unstintingly until you convince the masses. And so that's what they have done here in this land. They have convinced the masses. That's why they can kill blacks indiscriminately without compunction or remorse, with impunity and no consequences, because black life is worthless according to the system. That is what the problem is. You know what I mean? So you can look around and find anything you want to say. But when he said, we're going to create a whole new system, that answers all of the questions. Whatever you think of what it is, well, what are we chasing, talking about effects of hypothesis? You you know, speculating this, speculating that. What if he did? Oh, he embarrassed this one. He said he's going to create a new system. And that new system, that means we're going to be part and parcel. Then we give an argument. Then we give it to do it. And what he will do to those customized senators and representatives is tell on them. When they don't do what the people want, they have the right to recall. That's what George Washington said. You know what I mean? So we got to be able to deal with what it is real. You know what I mean? One nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So you cannot tell me anything you can give me that would be better. I'm wanting to listen to it. But you got to give a chance to something that could be better because it's different. And so let us find out what it is. It's better than playing hide and seek, you know what I mean, and using all these different innuendos and idiosyncrasies and all of these different slogans and all of these different talks and say all these different grandiose things, which I call rhetoric bombs. They bust in here and bust in there and promise you everything, give you nothing, implement nothing, and say, I'm going to do the best I can to knock down this barrier. I'm going to do the best I can to knock down that barrier. And to do the best I can is unacceptable. You got to be able to commit to what you're going to do and live or die with that commitment. And that's what we have to do.
Don, I'd like to formally extend an offer for you to be our political analyst for a long time to come. Really appreciate it.
God bless you. I love you. I love America. I love the American people. God bless America. And let us work together, pray together, stay together, and make America what America could be, the greatest nation in the world.
Thank you. Don King, everybody.